avert public employee layoffs and to avoid shortfalls in health care for the poor. The Democrats said that the bill was in part a response to the lingering recession and would help cash-strapped states that are contemplating layoffs to teachers, firefighters, police, and other public workers. Was that a needed bill, Reed Ribble?
Well, I mean, if you're the person that's going to be laid off, it was a needed bill. If you're a person that's paying the tax, it's not. I think it's a kind of an interesting discussion to have, though. I really believe that the federal government needs to start to remove itself from all these state issues, because here's the problem, and we had this with the stimulus last year. Let's provide stimulus to hire these 100 police officers in City X. Well, you then hire them, but there's an ongoing cost to having those police officers hired. And what I predicted a year ago when they started doing it is that, well, now in another year they're going to come back and ask for more money to now pay for those 100 police officers for that year. At some point, there's got to be an end game to it. And the end game, quite frankly, is to have the states pay for that. That is closer to the people, it's closer to the citizens, and they can make a determination on the local level whether that firefighter is needed, whether that police officer is needed, whether that school teacher is needed. And if it is, they will come up with the money. But it seems a little foolish for us to pay tax dollars into the system so that we can hire more police officers in Oklahoma City, and on the same hand, having a taxpayer in Oklahoma City paying higher taxes so that we can hire three or four firemen in Appleton. Why not have that done locally and have the citizens either decide for or against funding that? And I think that's where it ought to be done and not at the federal level. We do have a $13 trillion national debt.
David from Menasha wants to know if you think your lack of experience in the public sector will affect your ability to represent the 8th District.
No, I don't think so. There's the old adage that those who can't do teach. I think the real adage is those who can't do legislate. I guess the question to always ask people is, who do you feel is better suited to legislate? Someone who has lived in the private sector their entire life and have been legislated, or someone who hasn't and has been a career politician their entire life? And that's really a determination. I can tell you, as someone who has lived in the private sector my entire life, and I'm 54, I've been in business for 30 years. The reality is that I think legislation would be more prudently written if it were written by people who now have had experience of living underneath that legislation. And so I think it can hurt me in the form of votes, but I think it's actually good for the people.
Yeah. Well, you are, according to the fundraising documents, leading in fundraising in the 8th District. To what do you attribute that?
Well, I think that people are finally coming to a place in politics up here where they realize that we need a different type of person going to Washington. I think the fact that I'm not a career politician has helped. I think the fact that I've created jobs throughout my entire career, I think that's helped. And I think that my message is resonating. I'm a more pragmatic, even-handed type of candidate. I'm not a flamethrower. I want to be very, very forward-thinking in how I present myself, and I think that's ultimately is resonating with people.
Of course, the incumbent Steve Kagan has quite a hefty war chest, so to speak. Do you think that in our last 30 seconds that you have a credible chance of defeating Steve Kagan in November?
He has both a hefty war chest and a hefty voting record. And I believe that once the primary is over, that the finances that are required to talk about the voting record will come in, and I think I'm going to be fine.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Joy.
Reed Ribble, Republican candidate for Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District, representing Northeast Wisconsin. We'll hear from another Republican candidate in that race coming up after we check the latest news from National Public Radio and Wisconsin Public Radio. This is the Ideas Network. Our series of candidate forums continues during this segment of our State Capitol Report and through much of the month for that matter. Today we are focused on the 8th Congressional District, just hearing from one of the Republican candidates in our last half hour, Reed Ribble. Tomorrow at this time we will hear from another Republican candidate, Roger Roth, and in just a moment we will hear from yet another Republican candidate in the 8th, Terry McCormick. Good morning, I'm Joy Cardine. This is the Ideas Network of Wisconsin Public Radio. It is coming up on 7:37 on this Monday, August the 16th. The winner of the Republican primary on September the 14th will face the Democratic incumbent, U.S. Representative Steve Kagan, during the general election on November the 2nd. What do you want to know from a potential member of the Wisconsin congressional delegation? Give us a call with your question at 1-800-642-1234 or send an email to talk@wpr.org. You can also comment on the Joy Cardine Show Facebook page. Terry McCormick is a former state representative from Greenville, I believe, which is near Appleton. She is a Republican candidate for Congress in Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District, which covers the cities of Appleton, Green Bay, and much of northeastern Wisconsin. And she joins us from our Wisconsin Public Radio studios in Green Bay. Good morning.
Good morning, Joy. How are you this morning?
I'm great. Thanks for being with us. So did you and candidate Reed Ribble have time to discuss anything as you passed each other going in and out of the studio?
Actually, I involved in time to sit in this seat. We said hello, and that was about it.
Just seeing if there was, any disagreement. You ran before in the 8th Congressional District, didn't you?
I did. I believe in self-term limiting. When I was in the state legislature, I had self-term limited for 3 terms, served for 6 years chairing economic development, where we had the largest spike in job growth, went back to running my own business. I'm an author, former educator on the university level, and also am considered a conservative leader in most circles nationally.
Yeah, so why try again for the 8th Congressional District congressional seat?
Many former constituents, neighbors, and friends lobbied me. How is that? Instead of the lobby corps lobbying me, I had veterans, small business owners, individuals who had come to trust that my word was what I would deliver. There's something very important about self-term limiting and then living up to your word that earns the trust and confidence of the voters.
But what is it that you think that you will be able to accomplish that U.S. Representative Steve Kagan is not accomplishing?
My background with results in generating jobs, fixing an economy in the state of Wisconsin stands on its own. When you have a record of pushing back the bureaucracy so that investment can come in, and a track record of pushing back CAPCO, a failed investment system in Wisconsin, and replacing it with